Your boss said something nice to you last week. It felt warm, it felt personal, it felt like you finally mattered. It wasn't a compliment, it was a leash, and you put it on yourself with a smile. There are phrases that float around every office, every team meeting, every one-on-one. They sound like praise. They sound like recognition. They sound like the thing you've been desperate to hear since the day you started. But if you pull back the curtain, if you really look at what those words do to your behavior after you hear them, you'll notice something uncomfortable. You didn't just feel valued. You felt obligated. You didn't just feel seen. You felt trapped. And that's not an accident. Most people walk through their careers collecting these phrases like medals. They replay them in their heads on bad days. They use them to justify staying late, skipping vacations, absorbing extra work without extra pay. They believe those words are evidence of a relationship, a real, honest, human connection between them and the person above them. But here's what nobody tells you. The most effective form of workplace control doesn't look like control at all. It looks like appreciation. It looks like trust. It looks like your boss leaning in, lowering their voice, and making you feel like you're the only one who truly gets it. And that's exactly where the trap begins. Let's break down 5 phrases your boss uses. Not because they're evil, not because they sit in a dark room plotting your downfall, but because these phrases work. They produce results. They keep you compliant, grateful, and productive without ever needing to raise their voice or issue a threat. The system doesn't need villains. It just needs words that make you volunteer for your own exploitation. Phrase number 1. I trust you more than anyone on this team. The moment you hear this, something shifts inside you. You feel elevated, chosen, separated from the crowd. You're no longer just an employee. You're the confidant, the inner circle, the one your boss actually respects. And that feeling is intoxicating. But stop and ask yourself a question you've never asked. What did that sentence actually change? Did your title change? Did your compensation change? Did your authority change? No, nothing changed. Except now you feel personally responsible for not disappointing them. That one sentence just transferred emotional weight from their shoulders onto yours. You'll stay later now. You'll say yes to things you should decline. You'll tolerate behavior you shouldn't tolerate. Not because you were ordered to, because you were trusted. And betraying trust feels worse than disobeying a command. That's the mechanism. Commands create resistance. Trust creates devotion. And devotion is a far more efficient chain than authority. Your boss may not even be aware they're doing it. That's the uncomfortable part. This isn't always calculated. It's learned behavior. They saw it work once, and now it's instinct. But your awareness can't depend on their intention. You need to see the effect, not the motive. Phrase number 2. You're irreplaceable. This one feels like the ultimate validation. You've worked so hard that now they literally cannot function without you. You are essential, vital. The machine stops if you leave. But think about that for more than 5 seconds. If you are truly irreplaceable, what does that make you? It makes you unpromovable. You cannot move up because no one can fill your current role. You cannot move laterally because your absence would create a gap no one wants to deal with. You are not being praised. You are being cemented, locked into position with golden words and invisible concrete. The people who get promoted are never the irreplaceable ones. They're the ones who built systems that work without them. They're the ones who made themselves unnecessary in their current role so they could be available for the next one. Being irreplaceable sounds like power. It's actually a cage. And every time your boss reminds you of it, they're not lifting you up. They're making sure you don't move. Notice what happens the next time you hear it. Watch your own reaction. You'll feel a swell of pride followed by a subtle, almost invisible resignation. A quiet acceptance that this is where you are, that this is where you belong. That's not loyalty. That's engineering. Phrase number 3. I need someone strong in this position. This one is elegant, almost artistic in how it operates, because it doesn't ask you to do something difficult. It tells you that you are the type of person who can handle something difficult. It reframes sacrifice as identity. You're not being overloaded. You're being strong. You're not being set up to fail. You're being tested. And strong people don't complain. Strong people don't ask for help. Strong people absorb and endure and keep going because that's who they are. Do you see what just happened? Your boss didn't give you a task. They gave you a role to perform. And now if you push back, if you say this is too much, if you flag that you're drowning, you're not just declining work. You're failing to be the person they said you were. You're breaking character. And that feels like a personal failure, not a professional boundary. This phrase weaponizes your self-image. It turns your own ego into a compliance tool. You will destroy yourself trying to live up to a label someone gave you in a 30-second conversation. Not because the work matters that much, but because the identity matters, and they know it. Phrase number 4. You're not doing this for the money, right? This is the most dangerous phrase on this list, because it doesn't just manipulate your behavior. It manipulates your relationship with your own compensation. It reframes your paycheck as something slightly shameful, something a lesser person would focus on. You're above that. You're here for the mission, the purpose, the passion, the impact. You're not one of those transactional people who reduces everything to a number. And just like that, you've been disarmed. You can't negotiate aggressively anymore. You can't bring up market rates. You can't point out that you're doing the work of 2 people for the salary of 1. Because now, caring about money means you're not who they thought you were. It means you're not passionate. It means you're not a true believer. And in a culture that worships purpose, being labeled as someone who just works for the money is a social death sentence. Here's the reality. Every single person at the top of that company is doing it for the money. Every executive, every board member, every shareholder. The only people who are told to work for passion are the ones at the bottom, the ones whose labor is cheaper when it's framed as a calling. This phrase doesn't elevate you, it discounts you, literally. Phrase number 5. I'm only telling you this because I care about your growth. This one usually precedes criticism, but not just any criticism. The kind that's personal, the kind that crosses a line, the kind that, if it came from anyone else, you'd recognize immediately as inappropriate, reductive, or unfair. But it didn't come from anyone else. It came wrapped in the language of mentorship. It came with a disclaimer of care. And that disclaimer is the shield. Now you can't be angry. You can't push back. Because they care. They're investing in you. They took time out of their busy schedule to help you see something about yourself. If you reject the feedback, you're not just disagreeing. You're rejecting their generosity. You're being ungrateful. You're being defensive. And defensive people, as everyone knows, aren't ready for the next level. This phrase creates a dynamic where the boss becomes your unofficial therapist, parent, and judge, all at once, and you thank them for it. You walk out of that room feeling like you received a gift. You didn't. You received a frame that tells you who you are, what you lack, and how far you still need to go. And the person holding that frame gets to decide when, or if, you ever arrive. Now, zoom out. Look at all 5 phrases together. What do they have in common? None of them sound like control. None of them sound like manipulation. They all sound like connection, respect, and care. And that's exactly why they work. The most effective systems of control don't announce themselves. They disguise themselves as the thing you've been starving for. Validation. Think about what you've been optimizing for. You've been trying to be the trusted one, the irreplaceable one, the strong one, the passionate one, the coachable one. And every single one of those identities was handed to you by someone who benefits from you performing it. You didn't choose those roles. You accepted them. Because they felt like compliments. Because they filled something inside you that was empty. And once you wear an identity long enough, you forget it was given to you. You think it's who you are. The shift isn't about becoming cynical. It's not about distrusting every kind word. It's about separating words from outcomes. When someone praises you, don't ask how it makes you feel. Ask what it makes you do. If a compliment consistently leads you to accept more work, lower your standards, silence your boundaries, or stay in a position you've outgrown, that's not praise. That's programming. The people who navigate these systems effectively don't reject these phrases outwardly. They don't confront. They don't argue. They simply stop letting the words change their behavior. They hear, "I trust you more than anyone," and they think, "Interesting. But what's the deliverable?" They hear, "You're irreplaceable," and they start documenting their processes so someone else can take over. They hear, "I need someone strong," and they set a clear boundary on scope. They hear, "You're not in it for the money," and they send a market rate comparison the next morning. They hear, "I care about your growth," and they evaluate the feedback on its merit, not on its packaging. You don't need to fight the system. You just need to stop being moved by it without realizing it. The real danger was never that your boss manipulated you. The real danger is that you felt grateful while it happened, that you mistook a strategy for sincerity, that you carried those phrases around like proof that you mattered, when all they proved is that the system knew exactly which words would keep you still. The chains that work best are the ones that feel like wings, and you've been flying in place for a very long time.